Assalamu alaikum, dear students.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Tifali, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
I
sir.
can hear.
Um, Umaid here, she is here, she can hear me. Anisa Balkis, are you there? All of you kindly turn on your microphones so that we may communicate with one another. Fine. Anisa Balkis, are you there?
Yes, sir. Present.
Imran Rasul?
Yes.
Okay. Saifullah, there? Can you hear me? Asif Ali, he's raised his hand. Can you hear me, Asif Ali? Asif Ali, can you hear me?
Sir Suleiman,
Assalamu alaikum ji, Hussain sahab.
Walaikum salam. Is it the continuation of the same lecture, sir?
No, it's for MA first, linguist families. That
Oh,
is another class. Still, if you want to stay with us, you may stay here. I have no issue at all. The choice is yours. The
okay,
choice
sir.
is
Okay.
yours.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'll leave it now, sir.
Okay,
I
fine.
do have to do. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ji, MA first. Should we start? Who is this Mr. or Mrs. PSP 2022?
Sir, this is me, Asif Ali.
Okay, fine. Fine. We answer. So let's begin, please. If someone else wants to join the session, they may join the session later on, but we are getting there, so let's begin. First of all, how are you all? Fine?
Fine, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Can you turn on your microphone so that we may communicate just like a live class, okay? Just like an on-site class. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In today's session, we are going to talk about language families. But before that, let me provide you a brief overview of what we have discussed so far from the very first day of this semester. So, if you remember, we started with the origin of language. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. We started with the origin of language and we took into consideration certain theories, okay, certain hypotheses, and certain opinions, certain research studies conducted by different people, such as King James and many others. So there were the theories, sources like natural sound source theory. We talked about the divine source, fine, the physical adaptation source, and many more. The social interaction theories and many others. Then we talked about animal language versus human language, fine, and we talked about certain design features of human language, and then we compared human language with animal communication, and we found that certain features of animal language could be found in animal communication as well, while some features are they're specified to human language only. Then we talked about the word formation processes, that how are the new words added to a language. So we talked about certain processes such as coinage, borrowing, um, big formation, clipping, blending, fine. So many word formation processes are there. Then we talked about morphology, the various types and kinds of morphemes, such as pre-morphemes and bound morphemes. Inside pre-morphemes, we have those lexical morphemes and functional morphemes, and inside bound morphemes, we have derivational and inflectional morphemes. Then we talked about semantics, fine, and in semantics we discussed semantic features, fine. semantic roles, semantic relations, and componential analysis. If you remember, uh, we have already yes, we are done with pragmatics as well. And pragmatics we have discussed literal meaning, intended meaning, the role of context and background knowledge in interpreting the intended meaning of utterances. Apart from this, we have talked about the many other things like speech theory, Paul Grei's cooperative principle, the various maxims. Okay, we have talked about references, cataphoric reference, anaphoric reference. Mr. Asad is still waiting. Let me invite him. Is he your class fellows? Is he from the morning session or evening? Fine. So these are the things we have already discussed. So let's start with language families and historical linguistics. Are you with me, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Before we talk about language family, let's briefly talk about philology, that is a branch of knowledge, or you may say a sub branch of historical linguistics. Fine. What is
So which
philology?
chapter is this?
This is before historical linguistics. We have language families. That is a separate chapter.
Okay.
I'll share these slides with you. Don't worry. Fine.
Okay.
I'll share these slides with you through your WhatsApp groups and through your email addresses as well. These slides will be available on LMS as well, but once you get your valid registration IDs. Fine. Philology. What is meant by philology? Investigating the features of older languages and the ways in which they developed into modern languages. Involves us in the study of language history and change, also known as philology. Philology, it is a branch of knowledge that deals with the structure, historical development, this is very important, in the relationships of language or languages. Now, what is philology simply? In philology, we study languages, okay, the older versions of languages, and we look for the features which were used in that particular area of a particular language. Fine. And how has a particular language changed with the passage of time? What sort of changes has a particular language adopted with the passage of time? Let's exemplify it. Look at the English language, for example. We are speaking English, people are speaking English nowadays, fine, in 2020, the 21st century. If you look at the English language, which was spoken in the Shakespearean area or in the Elizabethan period, or to put it simply, the English language, for example, which was spoken in the 12th century and in the 13th century, 14th century, if we compare the English language which was spoken in the 13th century, for example, with the English language which is spoken nowadays in 2020, we will find so many linguistic differences. We will find so many differences of linguistic features. Now keep one point in mind, because we'll be discussing this point, mentioning it again and again. Linguistic features means the features of language, phonological features, okay, syntactic features, semantic features, and morphological features. So, phonological features, you are already studying phonetics and phonology in this semester. So phonetic features mean phonological features means elements and features of pronunciation of a language. Syntactic features means the features or the grammatical structures, the syntactic structures of a language, just as we have got different structures in the English language and in the Urdu language. Semantic features means the features of meaning, and morphological structure means the features of different morphemes. Fine, the structures of morphemes. So when we compare the English language which was spoken in the 13th century with the English which is spoken nowadays in 2020, we will find so many differences. Fine. It means that English language has gone through a lot of changes with the passage of time. With the passage of time, it has adopted a lot of changes. Fine. Phonological changes, syntactic changes, morphological changes, and semantic changes. Fine. When we study a language from this perspective, in order to find out that what were the features, linguistic features used in an older version of that language, and what are the features which are used in the modern version of that language. Fine. And what are the differences between that older version of that particular language and this modern version of the particular language. Such sort of study, such sort of investigation is called philology. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Fine. The branch of knowledge that deals with the structure, forget about structure, the branch of knowledge that deals with the historical development. Fine. That how does a particular language develop with the passage of time in the relationships of a language or languages. Now this point is our basic concern. Fine. The relationship of a language or languages in the historical development. Let's move to language family. But before we move to language family, let me provide you a very, brief overview of biological family. Biological family. Have you ever heard the word shujra nasab of our family tree?
Yes, sir.
Naam suna hai
Yes,
na?
sir.
Family tree. Fine.
Yes.
In a family tree, we have here the great grandfather. Fine. Then, because Pakistan is a patriarchal society, so usually we mention the names of male members unluckily only. Fine, I am coming to the examples of female members as well. This is the name of the great grandfather. Then, for example, he has got two sons. Number one and number two. Let me pick a pencil instead. A pen. Okay, fine. This is a great grandfather. He has got two sons. One, two. Then this is son number one, for example, and this is son number two. This son has got three sons. One, two, three, and this one has got two sons, for example. Okay. Then among these three, this one has got further two sons. This one has got one son, for example, and this one has got three sons. Fine. Like at the end, what will happen, we will come to the very youngest male child of the family, and this is what we call family tree, shajara nasab. Fine. Same with in those society where which are not male dominated society. Here we can see the name of female members. Like we have the name of the great grandmother here, then her two daughters, daughter one, daughter two. Then this daughter has got sub daughters, daughter one, daughter two. Fine. And this one is daughter three. Then daughter three has got one daughter or two daughters. Then this daughter has got three daughters, number one, number two, and number three. And same is the case with this one as well. And at the end, we have the name of the youngest female child of the family. Fine. This is what we call biological family. This is not language family. Now relating it to language family, if you can see this tree, okay. For example, this is the great grandmother in biological family, not language family. Fine. Can you see the things I'm writing down with the pen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
This is the great grandmother of a biological family. This grandmother has got daughter number one, daughter two, daughter three, and daughter four. Fine. Then, for example, this daughter three, she has got here daughter one and daughter two. Then this daughter has got one, two, and three, and then we have the youngest daughters. Fine. So this is a biological tree, but same is the case with language family as well. There are a lot of language families in the world. We are going to discuss each and every we are going to provide a brief overview of all largest language families of the world. This is, now look at this, we have the great grandmother. Fine. The great grandmother, which we call in Urdu Dadi Amma, ya, names like that. Fine. So this is the great grandmother. In terms of in linguistic terminology, in terms of language family, we call it the prototype language. Fine. The prototype language or the great grandmother language. Okay, instead of the great grandmother, we call it the great grandmother language. Fine. And that language is called the proto language. Now this language has got two daughter languages, for example, daughter language number one and daughter language number two. Imran wants to join us. Okay, fine. So this is daughter language number one and daughter language number two. Now look at this this one, this daughter language, it is daughter with respect to this great grandmother language. Fine. And similarly this one is daughter too with respect to that great grandmother language, but with respect to each other they are sister languages because they share the same mother. Fine. They share the same mother language, that is why they are sisters to each other with respect to that great grandmother language. Let me check कि मैंने वो रिकॉर्डिंग स्टार्ट किया है आप लोगों को I hope it is being recorded. Yeah, it is being recorded. Fine. Should you continue? Are you with me still? The things are clear so far?
Yes, sir, clear each
Okay,
and
Yes, sir.
everything.
fine, fine. Let's move ahead to make the things further clear. Coming to this chart, Indo-European language family. This is a language family. We're going to discuss this language family in detail, but I just want to make you understand what a language family actually looks like. Okay, so this is the great grandmother language. This mother language has got these daughter languages, daughter language number one, number two, three, four, five, and six. And then if you can see we have the very youngest languages, the very modern languages, they are here at the bottom. Fine. So this is what a language family looks like. Now coming to the linguistic terminology, that what a language family actually means. If you can see the definition, let me lower down the bar.
Sir,
G.
I am present. I come late because my website is not working well.
Okay, fine,
Mark
fine,
me present. Okay.
fine. Welcome to the classes, and welcome. G. What is meant by language family? A language family is a group of languages related through descent from a common ancestral language or parental language. A language family is a group of languages. Look at this. This is a group of languages. All these are different languages. Or simply look at this one. We have the Greek language, we have Italian, we have Irish language, German, Swedish, English, Danish. So many languages are here. Fine. So this is one complete language family. Why? Because it is a group of languages. Fine. A group of languages related through descent from a common ancestral language or parental language. These languages are related to one another. Why? Because they have been derived from a common ancestral language or from a common parental language. This is a common parental language or a common ancestral language from which all these languages have been derived. Fine. So all these languages are related to one another by this one. Find simply like this is the great grandmother. So some of them are direct cousins. If we talk about biological family, some of them are direct cousins. Some of them are second cousins to one another. So this is how this is what a language family is. A language family is actually a group of languages, and all those languages are related to one another by through a descent from, through a derivation from a common ancestral language, through a derivation from a common parental language, and that parental language or that common ancestral language, that is called the proto language of that family. Fine. Just as we have the great grandmother. Fine. Just as we have the great grandfather and biological families, and the same way we have the proto language of a family, the great grandmother language of a family. Is this clear so far, that what is meant by language family, and how does a language family look like? Clear
Yes,
so
Yes,
clear,
far?
sir.
sir.
Okay, if you have any questions so far, you may kindly ask. No question? Okay, fine.
No, sir.
Fine. These are some other charts, diagrams for language families. You may consult these things later on. I'll share the materials with you. Before coming to these charts, let's talk about Ethnologue and largest language families of the world. Do you know it is what Ethnologue is? Ethnologue. G. Have you
No, sir.
heard ever the name Ethnologue? No. Okay.
No.
Just as we have encyclopedia, Wikipedia. I hope you
Yes,
must
yes.
have heard these words. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Encyclopedia or Wikipedia. These are actually websites or databases which keep the record of multiple things. Same is the case with Ethnologue as well.
So it's basically the history of family.
Language
Yes,
families
family
and
language.
languages. Exactly. You are very right. Look at this. Ethnologue is an online website. I'll share the link with you through your WhatsApp group after the class. Fine. Um, According to the Ethnologue record, which was published on February 21, 2020, it was the 23rd edition. Just as we have like the 18th Amendment in the Constitution of Pakistan, fine, or the 9th Windows 10 or Microsoft, fine. Just as we have like the various softwares of computer system or smartphones, in the same way we have editions. We have got the editions of books as well. So Ethnologues, it publishes its various editions, fine, usually after a year or two. So this edition, the 23rd edition, that is the latest edition, it was published on 21st February, fine, I think 2.5 months ago. According to this record, the total number of languages in the world, that is 7,117. Fine. It means that right now, today, how many languages are spoken in the world, throughout the world? 7,000 language,
7,000. Yes.
7,117 languages. Fine. If you educate a society, in society, or a town, for example, in a town we may have, for example, uh, 200 people, okay, or we may have 400 people in a small town, but all those 400 people, they belong to certain families. Fine. The number of the families in the town may be 10 families, 50 families, or not more than 20. Fine. In the same way, all these languages belong to certain families. Each and every language, apart from isolates, which we will discuss later on, each and every language belongs to one or another language family. Fine. So according to this record, the Ethnologue record, the 23rd edition, the total number of language families in the world right today, that is 142. How many language families are there? 142 language
142.
142.
families. Fine. If you are
Sir, so the family language is basically like in KPK Pashto is spoken mostly. So we are one family.
no, Pashto is actually one language. Pashto is
Yes,
one language.
one
No,
language, and we
fine.
are of one family.
No, Pashto language, Pashto, Persian language, the languages which are spoken in Iran, fine, or which have derived from Iranian languages, they are one family. We are going to talk about
Yes,
all these
yes, we are
languages.
one family.
These families,
Yes,
we'll take into consideration these families in these charts. Fine, after a
yes.
while. So the total number of languages 7,117, and total number of language families in the world 142. Now, this is a list of the largest language families by the number of languages. Fine. By the number of languages means that language family number one, it consists of the highest number of languages. Fine. So we have this Niger Congo, this language family consists of 1542 languages. This is one collective family. Fine. Then we have another family, language family, which consists of 1257 languages. The third family, the fourth family, and this is our language family, Indo-European language family, which I'm going to discuss in detail. Fine. Pashto language, the Pashto language, the Urdu language, the Hindi language, Punjabi, Sanskrit, Persian, all these languages belong to the Indo-European language family, and this language consists of 448 language families. The rest of the details you may read these things by your own self. Fine. These are the number of the largest language families by the number of languages in each language family. Now, this is the list of the largest language families of the world, but it is by the number of speakers. The number of speaker means that this language family consists of the highest number of speaker. This language family, it comes second by the number of speakers. Fine, and then this one third, and this is fourth. If we look at the Indo-European language family, the number of speakers or the number of speakers in this language family is 2.910 billion people. Fine. It means that this language family, the various languages which are inside this family, how many languages are there? This language family consists of 448 languages. Fine. So these 444 languages are spoken by 2.910 billion people around the world. Fine. Since it has got the highest number of speakers, that is why it is on the top by in terms of the number of speakers. And the second number we have this Sino-Tibetan language family. This is the third one. Niger Congo languages in the fourth one. Fine.
1.58 billion.
Okay. Come again, please. Mohd Imran, do you want to say something? Okay, fine. Chat. Sorry for interrupting, sir. I cannot get any single word of yours because of weak and bad network here. Okay. My dear Safila, you may kindly install a better internet network because we have to go with these online classes maybe for more than 2 months. Anyhow, I'll share the presentation with you later on, the video as well as the slides. Is this clear so far to those who are listening to me?
Yes, sir,
Yes, sir.
clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. As I told you that we belong to the Indo-European language family. Fine. And this is the Indo-European language family. Look at this language family. This is the entire family. We have got Indo-Iran. Okay, now first of all, let's talk about the terminology of Indo-European. Indo means Indian subcontinent, fine, and
Asian.
European is from European country. It means that this
Sir,
language family consists of languages which are spoken in the Indian subcontinent as well as in the European countries. Okay,
sir,
G.
what is Indo mean?
G.
Indo mean
Indo is from Indian subcontinent, Indian subcontinent,
Indian.
Indo. Fine,
Yes.
it is
Yes.
actually a
Sir,
planet. G.
could you discuss proto?
Yes, I'm going to discuss it. Fine. Students, keep in mind we are using an unregistered version of the Zoom software. Fine. The maximum time of session which can be taken on this software is, I think, 45 minutes, and we are left with 9 minutes and 20 seconds only. So when this session overs, we will start another session. Fine, immediately after this session overs, and
Okay,
we will
sir.
take another session of 5, 10, or 15 minutes for your answer and question session. Fine. G. Proto means, as I told you, the prototype language. Fine. This one, language family, This is, the where are the sketches which I draw right here? Okay. Proto means the prototype language is, the oldest version and the great grandmother of version of all the languages. Okay, like look at this. Proto means that this is the the oldest language in this entire family, and all these languages which you can see in this chart, they have been derived from this one single language family. Fine. So that is the proto, that is the great grandmother language. Fine. So, Indo-European means languages spoken in the Indian subcontinent and in the European countries. This is one single family, the Proto-Indo-European language family. Now, it has got the Indo-Iranian languages, Indic, Iranian, and we have so many languages like Middle Persian, then the Farsi language, the Kurdish language, Bengali, Urdu, Gujarati, Hindi, Sanskrit, the Pashto language. All these languages we have here. Indo-Iranian means this is a blend. We have already discussed word formation process, blending. Fine. So Indo is from Indian subcontinent, and Iranian is the second part. So Indo-Iranian. So languages which are spoken in Indian subcontinent in Iran. Fine. Then we have the Hellenic language, that is Greek. We have the Celtic language. Some people call it Celtic as well. So we have Irish, Scottish, Welsh, Manx, and many other languages. Italic language, so here we have Latin language, French, Romanian language, Spanish language, Portuguese, Italian language. We have the Balto Slavic languages, which are the Polish language, Russian language, and the last one, Germanic languages or North Germanic language, Old Norse and Swedish language. Like all these languages, they belong to this one single family. This language family has got these daughter languages or daughter language families. Fine, and then we have the youngest languages, which we can see like the modern English. Fine, we can see Hindi, we can see Urdu, and we have Pashto as well. We can see Farsi, we can see Kurdish language, the languages which are spoken in the Indo-Iranian region, and you are familiar with these languages. We have English as well. Fine. So this is what a language family is. The basic concept of a language family. Look at this one. That is another sketch taken from um, the book written by George Joule, The Study of Language. Here we have the Indo-Iranian languages. Indic languages means the languages which have come from the Indian subcontinent. So basically, initially it was the Sanskrit language, then later on it developed into the Bengali language, Hindi language, Punjabi language, and Urdu. Fine. Here we have the Iranian languages. So in that region, we have the Kurdish language. Pashto, keep in mind, it is also come from that side. It belongs to the Iranian family of languages. Fine, not to the Indian. Fine, but combined to the Indo-Iranian language family. That is a sub-family. Okay, small family inside this Indo-European language family. We have the Persian language, and we have Tajiki language as well, which is spoken in Tajikistan. Fine. So this is a chart for the Indo-European language family. Now
Sir,
coming to Ji.
my question is that how a language born become mean into existence?
A language comes into existence.
It's
How
from
the
the chapter Origin of Language.
fine. It is from the origin of language as well. We are going to discuss these things in isolate. That how can a language, born? This this is what we usually discuss in isolates. But usually languages are derived from the older versions. Fine. We uh, uh, we have the concept of those things as well. Pigeon and Creole. We will discuss these things in the question and answer session. Don't worry. Fine. Sometimes people, they deliberately make an attempt to formulate a language which we call pigeon. Fine. I'm going to provide a brief overview after we are done with language isolates. Fine. uh, Language isolate, which is the last main topic of today's lecture. What is meant by isolate? Language isolates are languages that have no known historical or linguistic relationship to any other language. Fine. If you can see this chart again, all these languages have got linguistic relationship and historical relationship with these older versions. Fine. Like if we look at the modern English, okay, it has got a historical and linguistic relationship with the Middle English. Fine. The Middle English has got a historical and linguistic relation, means the relationship of linguistic features such as pronunciation and syntax, semantics, meaning each words, morphemes, each and everything. And historical relation means like it is derived from the Middle English. Then if you look at the Middle English, it has got a historical and linguistic development with the French language and with the Old English. Fine. Then this one, the Old English, has got a historical and linguistic relation with this one, the Anglo-Frisian language, and this one has got a linguistic and historical relationship with this one, the West Germanic language. But there are some languages in the world which have got no linguistic or uh, historical relationship with any language family or with any other language. Fine. For example, Korean language or this language, Sumerian language, or this one, Elamic language. These languages do not belong to any language family. If you look at again towards society, in society there are some poor people uh, who do not belong to any family at all. Fine. Usually then people may adopt them later on. Fine. If they are adopted, they become the part of a family. Fine. But if they are not adopted, then they are on their own and they have got no biological relationship with any language, with any biological family. Fine. Same is the case with families as well.
I think it is independent language which
And
can stand itself.
completely independent. Fine. Every
Yes.
language can stand by itself alone, but it has to, that if you look at the English language, for example, so the most of the linguistic features have come to the modern English from the middle one. Into the Middle English, the linguistic features have come from the French language and from the Old English.
सारा
Fine.
क्लास में नजर आता है मैंने किसी और की क्लास में घुस गई
Ji? Okay, fine. Now, many languages in the world, they are isolates. Fine. What happens sometimes? It happens that people create a new language from their own side, particularly in the case of sign languages. Okay, sign languages like if you have ever seen a school for deaf and dumb children. I have seen a school in Islamabad. Fine. We are left with 1 minute, so let's start another session. Fine.
Okay.
I'm sending you again another link. If we could continue with the same link, please click on the same link so that we may continue. If not, so then we will start another session.
Okay, sir.
Okay, fine.
Sir, we start?
No. Go to your WhatsApp
Sir, I
group.
think it will continue.
It is still continued, but less than 1 minute. I can see I'm the moderator, so I can see it from here. Fine. It will over soon
Okay.
by automatically.
We go to WhatsApp, sir.
Go to your WhatsApp group, click on the same link, and come again.
Okay. Sir, tell them, Sirji, those who record the lecture,